Hey podcast, just before we get you to this episode, I wanted to invite you to join us at pageantlaunch.com. We are starting the world's first dedicated pageant review site, and we want you to join our launch team. All you need to do is put in your email address. It's completely free. We are looking to make the pageant industry safe, transparent, and fair, and we'd love your input on how to do that. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, whack in your email address, and let's get you to this episode.
My name is Stephanie Hill. I'm Miss World England 2017, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hi everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project. Forgive me whilst I set up my headphones correctly. I'm not waving at you, but hello. It's Adrian from the Pageant Project. And I have Stephanie Hill with me, who's Miss England 2017. Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, I was just discussing with Stephanie before because Grace jumped on and we don't know how to pronounce her surname. And Stephanie, I told Grace that you don't know, and we're having an argument. So Grace has said Levy. Okay,
Levy.
So it's Levy. There you go. All right.
Well, that's
how
I've been saying it, so thank goodness for that, and apologies, Grace.
She says, take it however it comes. Levi, Levy, Levy.
I've heard the full spectrum, so...
Well, as I was saying to Stephanie, I want to know because I'll be interviewing Grace soon, and I don't want to mispronounce her name. But... Stephanie, how are things for you? We should be talking about you, but how have things been for you?
Good, busy, bonkers. You kind of think that once your reign is finished, that's it, sort of thing, and you have that lovely time when you're there. But I'm still very much involved in the circuit, let's say, and still I keep getting called back for various things. That's really nice that I'm still able to have a little taste of, let's say, my former life alongside my professional life now. So it's really nice. I have still very much got the best of both worlds, which I didn't think that would be a luxury that I'd have, well, this far down the line, I guess.
For a second, I wasn't sure if you said it was lovely to still be involved in the circuit or still be involved in the circus. So I assume
circus. Oh God, well,
it could be both. I don't know.
I don't know. We refer to theatre as a circus, and they're not that far removed sometimes. So, in the nicest way, in the sense that it's a performance.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. It's absolutely crazy in the best way possible. It does age you rather quickly. So, guys watching on Facebook, I can see a bunch of you. So, if you have any questions for Stephanie or any just messages, put them in the comments, as some of you have already. I will circle back to them. I'm just going to ask Stephanie a few questions first, but by all means, put the questions in there right now. And Stephanie, I guess we should start. Obviously, you've had a reign. You might have another one, but you've had a reign. But can you trace back to even before that your sort of pageant journey, how you got started all the way through to 2017, obviously? Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, I lost you. Can you repeat that one for me? There was a slight silence. I apologise.
Welcome to the internet. So just trace out your pageant journey for us. So back from the beginning, why you got started, all the way through 2017 when you won your title, and then even what's beyond, because that's one of the questions now is what's next for you. So trace out the pageant journey for us.
Well, the story started very unconventionally. Way back when, in 2013/14, towards the end of 2013, Miss England used to scout at the clothes show in Birmingham, and that's how they generate a lot of the entries. It was a really good place for them to advertise to people who were interested in a career in media, not just fashion. And my friend from my operatic society was scouted, and I thought, I'd love to have a go at that. I thought that pageants and Miss competitions were very much kind of an American thing, and that we didn't do that in the UK. I was completely uneducated. The fact that, of course, pageants have a huge history in the UK, but I was completely, oblivious to all of that. So I entered with my friend, and we did Miss South Yorkshire. She ended up pulling out 2 weeks before the event, but by that point, I had kind of fallen in love with Beauty of the Purpose, because I initially was very skeptical about it, as we all are, thinking, this is a charity I haven't heard of before, and is it safe, this, that, and the other. And no, I fell absolutely in love with it, and I have admitted this to, both the Miss World organisation and the Miss England organisation, that I was initially skeptical. I thought I should have come out with that.
Of course.
And then, of course, I fell so madly in love with it. And then, long story short, I just kept trying until I no longer could. And I said that to myself, I'm just going to do. Oh, hello. Sorry, I think that's my prehistoric Wi-Fi coming through. Sorry, everyone.
No, I think that time it was my fault.
It was yours.
I think it was. So you kept trying until you couldn't try anymore, and then I think we lost what you just said in the last 30 seconds or so, and I shrunk.
Well, basically, the last year I entered that, well, of course, I was eventually successful. My career was kind of coming to a point where it was going to be a bit head or heart. Like, do I carry on with this and potentially sacrifice my career for it alongside, or do I, if I'm successful, then it would be a really nice time for me to take a year out and then return to the career, which is exactly what I did. So luckily, thank goodness, I was successful, because after that, I probably might have had to take a couple of years break and then come back. And then maybe by that point, I might have, I don't know, lost my mojo, or, got out of the swing of things a little bit. So it was a really good time for it to happen. It worked perfectly, almost too perfectly. It was a bit eerie, really. And then everything has just fallen very nicely back into place. But I do acknowledge that I'm very, very lucky. Very lucky.
Well, I'm sure there was some element of hard work to it as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of sleepless. Certainly my final year of uni, the preparation for Miss England as this be all and end all, alongside trying to get a degree, that was probably reaching my limit and reaching capacity. Certainly brain wise, I was completely blowing my top off. But I don't know, maybe it made me really organized, and that those are life skills that I have now taken away, and nothing phases me anymore. Saying that, I'm sure an assessment might come up in uni and it'll completely floor me, but until now, it's been very good.
Okay, so we have to circle back to the uni and what you do outside of pageantry. Yeah. But just because someone did ask this question, and we might as well cover it now, and they've asked what's next for you in terms of pageantry. So we've got how you started, we've got up to Miss England. What's next? Is there a next? Do you know, or are you just seeing what happens?
There could be. I'm open to it, and I'm certainly. I have a really lovely support network of very encouraging people, and I think maybe because of like the parallels I have with, I don't know, my personal values and then other systems out there, that there are some matches. And really, my priority at the moment is my career and finishing my master's, and then potentially going on to do a PhD. But it's kind of, I'm very much all about. Don't get me wrong. I'm not religious, but I'm a believer in fate, let's say, and things very much in previous circumstances for me have lined up very nicely. So if it comes to that, and I'm in a position where I would be able to give another competition my absolute all, I would, and it would be lovely to do that. I think I've left a respectable amount of time between my previous title and then potentially pursuing another one, because I wanted to give, not only Miss England my absolute all, I also wanted to give the time following that, enough time as well. I mean, of course, I did think things would, I say, fizzle out, but they haven't done. So again, that is another thing to kind of consider. Like, should I be settled in what I already have, which is wonderful, or do I think, I love performing. I love the opportunity to be on stage, and to be honest, I did really enjoy competing, and it's been killing me a little bit being on the other side of the table, being like, I wouldn't mind being up there again, for no reason other than the pure love of it. And that's all it is, really. Not more complicated than that.
Right. So it sounds like you're getting itchy feet being on the other side of the table. So
I am. I think anybody does. It is quite common that when people have, say, had one of the major 4 titles, 5 titles, whatever it is that you want to define it by, they do kind of think, it would be nice to be up there again. I mean, there's a reason we do it, because it's brilliant and it's wonderful. And, maybe if you have only done it once, like myself, you kind of think, I'd love to do that again. And it is that kind of thing. But a lot of people are absolutely 100% satisfied. If anything, they're like, whew, that's it, one time only for me. But I have a background in theatre, so I do, I very much enjoy being on stage. So, we'll see. Of course, like I said, I do have maybe some plans in the pipeline, and I do have my eyes open. I'm not ruling anything out, is the best way to say it, I guess.
Right. So as I said, guys on Facebook, leave your questions in the comments. I can see a bunch of you have left them, so I will get to them soon. I just want to ask Stephanie one more question, which is, in terms of, basically, tell us everything you do outside of pageantry? Because I've been going through your social. Obviously, I've seen the singing. I've heard some of the singing. I've seen the horses. And you just told us about theatre. And the theatre background is a recurring theme with a lot of the UK girls in pageantry. They have a theatre background. But just whilst you tell us about everything about you outside pageantry, I'm just going to disappear to the side and close the curtains because I'm being blinded by the sun right now. I
can see it. Bless you. I was thinking, my gosh, that must be what's driving you up the wall.
I can't see anything. But just tell us a little bit about everything you do outside of pageantry, and I'm just going to duck over here and close the curtains.
Okay. Right, here we go. It's like, sell yourself in 60 seconds or whatever. Well, outside of pageantry, my professional career is in cancer research, which is a far cry, of probably as far as you could possibly get from the world of media, the world of performance, because of course it's clinical. Let's say, you have to have a blank canvas for a face. It's very, everything has to be very sterile. And of course, there's no theatrics. It's very serious and a very, a very humbling place to be. But if anything, it really has solid roots in the pageantry and understanding that those platforms can do so much for people in the community. And it is repeated over and over again. And you see that it is a bit of a cliche. But actually, the impact you can have is sensational, if you are successful like that. So, yes, at the moment, I'm a clinical trials assistant. So I assist in the running of trials. I assist in recruiting patients, managing patients for studies in the UK. I'm doing that part-time alongside my master's in translational oncology. And then hopefully I'm going to go on to do a PhD in cancer research and then become a research associate or a research fellow and get myself in the labs, hopefully finding some brilliant new treatments for patients who are undertaking treatment for cancer. So yeah, really different, weird lives. And then of course I have a lovely elderly old horse who I did used to compete quite a lot when he was younger. Piggles. Weirdest name ever, but suits him. Piggles. I mean, bless his heart. He is such an elegant, beautiful, majestic creature. And then you're yelling Piggles down the field. You're like, Piggles! Come and get your feed or whatever it is. And and then he comes running up like something out of a Black Beauty film. It's ridiculous. But it does actually suit him. It's cute. And then I do ballroom and Latin dancing, which is where I have been this afternoon. To no ridiculous level. I'm only on the university circuit to novice degree, but I love it to bits. And again, I have kind of no skill. My dance training is rooted in ballet and tap, and I'm much better at that than I am at ballroom and Latin, but I love ballroom and Latin. So needless to say, I'm a massive Strictly fan. Of course. And then of course, I was singing and dancing as a kid. I did a lot, and it wasn't by any means through pushy parents at all. I'm the pushy child. I'd go up to them and say, can I do this or can I do that? And when I was a teenager, I'd be like, right, I'm not going to use your taxi services. I know all the buses I'm going to take, a bit of sass and that. I was like, I'm going to do this all on my own, so you don't need to worry. But no, they are very, very kind and still like, right, shush, we'll take you there. We'll get involved. So they are very supportive, but it was me who was saying, I'm going to do this, trying to do everything and putting myself in massive amounts of stress at times when I
Do you know where that came from? Because you said it wasn't from your parents, that sort of drive. So where did that drive come from?
Yeah. Whoopsie daisy. There we go. No, I've always loved horses since I was a kid. I was the weird pony girl at school. Absolutely. Proudly so now, because I've realised how much of a stereotype it was. I had no idea. I was just absolutely obsessed with horses. This back wall behind me has had to be wallpapered because there is blue tack, permanent marks all over it from having the horse photos, the horses that weren't mine, just pictures from the internet, printed and plastered on that wall. And I still have all my cuddly horse toys and everything. The obsession has by no means died. And I think it very much irritates my horse because I'm just like, I love you so much. And he's like, please get off me. So yeah, and then the dancing, my parents encouraged me to dance as a kid because I wasn't sporty, but I did like to perform. And, it's nice to do something physical as a child, get rid of some of that spare energy. And I loved it. I loved it to bits. And then, of course, the singing just kind of came in. I used to love Leona Lewis in The X Factor. I used to try and sing all of her songs, and I wasn't completely tone deaf as a child. Again, I've never had any pushing from anyone. The only pushing I've had has been in academia, and initially as a kid I used to think that was the worst thing ever, but I'm very grateful for it now because I am literally living my dream job. And if I hadn't had that encouragement to get, decent grades. I wouldn't say they were brilliant by any means, but to have that kind of pushing, it's just helped me get to where I needed to go a little bit faster, albeit I didn't particularly get there that fast. Started to take a long route.
Well, that sounds like a manic journey to me. A lot. I mean, where did you said you got your dream job now. I mean, it's an unusual dream job. Do you know where, where did that come from? The oncology job, the research?
Well, if it isn't apparent already, I have quite an obsessive personality, in the nicest way. It's a very, very common story for many people who get involved in my job, and for many people who have a personal link to cancer, the treatment of it.
Right.
Everybody knows someone who's been affected by it, of course. When I remember I was 9 or 10 years old, I was at school, and there was a girl at school who was diagnosed, and within a very short amount of time, she unfortunately passed away. And this really shocked me.
Oh, wow.
I'd never heard the C word before, didn't know anything about it, didn't realize how destructive it can be. And I couldn't comprehend in my head how a healthy young child who had the world at her feet had gone from that to no longer being with us within such a short amount of time. And I became obsessed with that. I couldn't believe it. To me, it was something as simple as the common cold. And I did start researching that young in my life. And looking back on it, that was such a strange thing to do. But I thought, right, if I can't do anything now, I'm only 9 years old, I don't have the brain power to come up with anything, then I want to fundraise. So I started fundraising at the tender age of about 10, 11 for a local charity called Neurocare, which specialises specifically in brain cancers. And that was where the journey started. And again, such a weird thing. I think my parents were probably a little bit perplexed at being like, where has this come from? Like, what a strange thing for a 9-year-old child or 10-year-old child to be so fixated on. And I just knew that was it. I was initially, of course, when you're 14, 15, you start making your options. In the UK, you start choosing GCSEs, A-levels that you're going to be doing. And initially I was going straight medicine, but I'm a very impatient person. I was thinking, actually, I wonder if there's a way I can get into cancer research a different way. If anything, I wanted to be a scientist, but I thought you had to do straight medicine in order to get into science. But then, of course, I found the alternative route, which is where I am now. So, yeah, it has been genuinely a lifelong obsession. I will be on a tube or waiting at a bus station reading articles. It is so weird. And I will work it into any conversation whatsoever. Like, we'll be out to dinner. I'll be like, don't say it. But I'm thinking, I've read this article today, I need to tell everyone about it. But I'm like, no, this is not something to discuss at dinner, you complete weirdo. So to those who are closest to me, that they are aware of this affliction of mine and they are very accepting of it. I'm like, you'll never guess what's going on. And they're like, oh, here we go. It's one of her cancer talks. And it's, of course, it is a horribly sensitive subject. So more people in my family have been affected by it than I can count. And again, more friends, outside of my familial circle have had it too. But it's a strange thing to be excited about, of course, because of the connotations. But my approach to that is someone's got to be excited and have some kind of passion about it, because it helps things move a lot quicker and it helps us get innovation and innovative treatments out there a lot quicker too. But yeah, it's a weird obsession, very weird.
Well, no, I agree with what you said. I think we need people who are passionate about it, because obviously it's such a huge issue in our society. So we need people who are doing it because they're passionate about it, not simply because it's the only job that they could find.
Oh, so yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It makes perfect sense to me. So, Stephanie, what we're going to do now, and guys, we're going to go to the Facebook questions, as I said. So if you have any questions, put them in the Facebook comments below. I'm just going to scroll up and see what questions we have. Yep, so Jade Hall asked, what's next for you in the pageant world? So at the moment, we're keeping our options open.
Yes.
And no definitive answer just yet. Melanie Flood has said, our own little Peak District queen. I don't know what that... I don't know what that means.
Because there's only me here. Also, that's how it feels. The Peak District is massive, and civilization, as I've already mentioned, is very sparse. There are 10 miles in between each village. When it snows, it's like going back to, well, I don't know, the 1800s. It's brilliant, but it's also crazy. When we had 2 weeks of snow a couple of years ago and everybody went absolutely balmy, and it was brilliant. I thought it was really entertaining, just watching everyone send madness. Including my own family, which was very entertaining from my point of view. But There's not a lot of people in the Peak District. I was Miss Hope Valley when I won Miss England, and I used to find that very entertaining. I was like, well, yeah, because I'm pretty much the only female who could do it, sort of thing. I mean, that is not the case. Of course, there's plenty of people who live in the Hope Valley, but maybe I'm the only one who was interested. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's not many people in the Peak District.
Okay, Hannah Golding has said, OMG. Generally, the way it goes, Stephanie, is you get a lot of messages of support and there aren't that many questions. So, for example, we've got here one saying from Hannah Golding saying, it would be amazing to see you back on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Melanie, well, I mean, that could be in terms of singing or theatrics. I'm sure you will be on stage in terms of pageantry. Who knows?
One way or another, hopefully.
Just out of curiosity, what style singing do you I think you called yourself crossover, was it?
I'm a classical crossover artist, so I'm maybe a little bit too classical for straight musical theatre, but I'm not strong enough for full-scale opera. So I am a misser. I'm stuck directly in between. So I like to do very light opera and musical theatre songs, but I can't belt to save my life. I have tried, and it sounds dreadful. And this is my, I want to be able to belt. I wanted to be able to sing pop. I wanted to be a cool kid, but I was given a voice equivalent to Julie Andrews. And as a 1990s kid, that's not great. I want to be able to sing like Taylor Swift and Britney Spears, but it just sounds, well, just imagine, I don't know, an opera singing Taylor Swift songs. I won't do it for you.
Britney Spears can hardly. I wouldn't want to hear Britney Spears singing opera. I mean,
well, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't particularly rate her as a singer. I think her style. That's
what I was going to say. She's an entertainer, not a singer.
She does great service to her voice because she has got strong vocals, but she's just too focused on being alluring, let's say. So I always find when I hear a good singer, I'm like, why are you wasting your voice? I would do anything to be able to belt like that, and that's what you're doing with it. Oh my god, why? So yes, I can't sing cool, basically. I'm just
I like how you said you sing. You said you sing light opera. Yes. I didn't know there was such a thing. What is light opera? Because opera to me is
I'm not
opera.
going to be divulging in the beautiful 12-minute, very heavy, fabulous vocal acrobatics that you can do. So I'll do the shorter arias. So of course, O mio babbino is very popular. Right. I'll do the female version of Nessun Dorma, but it won't be, say, as heavy as a classically trained opera singer. It will be a little bit lighter. So my vibrato is kind of less stable. By definition, my voice is known as a coloratura voice, which means it's very light and fluty and quiet. So I can go very high, but there's not a lot of power there. And it's very flexible as well. So it can do lots of leaps and trills and things, but I don't have a lot of stamina, but that's not defined by my voice. That's defined by the fact that I don't practice as much as I should. I don't do a lot of things I should, really. Maybe it's because I do too much. I'm not sure.
I was going to say, so in terms of your range for opera, I don't know how ranges work, but are you a soprano?
Yes. I'm a coloratura soprano, and I go very high. And my, despite having quite a low speaking voice, my singing voice, I can't go very low. There's not a very good quality to it at all.
How does that work? Having a lowish speaking voice, but then having a highish range on your singing voice?
Maybe it's because I haven't quite learned how to, I don't know, cross over the vocals yet. I mean, this is still quite a high voice, I don't know, maybe for a female, but for a singer, I wouldn't be able to make my, I don't know, my vocal register as I speak sound nice. Maybe it's that, I'm not sure. Okay.
Because that's the opposite to me, because obviously I have a low voice. Yes. I can't sing anything, and I've got a weird range because it's so low. It's like half an octave below what most guys would sing. Yeah. So I've got the opposite problem. I sound great down low, but it's so low that a lot of people can't hear me. It's like almost like a Barry White kind of voice. Really? So for someone to tell me that they have
though, like that isn't, you will be absolutely in abundance for choirs. Like they are so desperate for the fellas who can go really low, because of course, you know, and to be able to do it well as well, to have that proper vocal quality. So you're like gold dust in the singing world.
Oh, it's too bad that school gave me trauma about choir. I don't think I ever want to join a choir, but it's good to know that I'd be in demand somewhere for my voice. That's for sure. Oh yeah, no, school choir, because obviously before puberty your voice is different as a guy, and I used to be singing in the sopranos, and then my voice broke.
Boys' voices break. We'd all go, "Hey!" when it happened.
Well, mine went from a soprano voice to this voice, basically, over the period of a few months. But I didn't want to be separated from my friends because all my friends were still in the soprano section. And, I was in a new school. I didn't want to be separated. So I kept singing soprano with this voice. I mean, can you imagine?
Someone maybe should have told you something and just explained what happened. I'm not sure about that one.
Well, what happened was that the teacher clued on. The teacher clued on that there might be an issue and then got me to sing solo. And obviously I couldn't do it because I have this voice. And then he went, yep, no, you can't be in sopranos anymore. You have to go to the basses.
So his method was mortification. Wonderful. That's great. Or mortifying you. That's very nice.
That's why I don't want to go into choir, because I have that memory from school when I was singled out and then made to move away from all my friends. As soon as he did that, I was like, okay, well, I quit. So there you go.
Then you live that solo life. I love it too.
But I'm not sure that this voice, that's what I mean. In terms of solo, I don't know any solo artists who have this voice apart from someone like a Barry White.
A low voice, and like you said, Barry White. I think there's a gap in the current market. Right, you need to get on it. I'm calling it now.
Well, I guess I've got the right mic. You can't see this, but I've got a proper microphone here, so maybe I'll give it a go. All right, let's keep going with the questions. Melanie has asked, will you consider taking your equestrian triumphs to the next level? ...
Well, I was lucky enough to go to the Horse of the Year show in 2012, which was all I ever wanted. That was going to be my lifelong pursuit. I had pretty much planned to spend the best part of 40 years trying to get there in one way or another. But of course, Piggles, he was just sensational. I take no credit for it. He was a wonderful, wonderful horse. And we were very lucky that we went in a class that was kind of more aimed at amateurs rather than the professional circuit. I understand that class is now changing. It is more of a professionals class. So it was just a case of good timing. I'd love to go again. I would love to do the Cuddy Working Hunter, which is a particularly difficult class, very much the best of the best. The fences are absolutely huge. You have to be a very good rider. So it's not about kind of getting around hell for leather. You have to be, very quiet, very calm. You basically make it look like you're doing nothing, which of course is a lot of the essence of horse riding, is making it look as though the horse is doing everything, which of course it should be a 50-50 split really. I'd love to do the Cuddy, but at the moment I am far too chicken. I might as well get out there and say it. Those fences are massive, and I mean, I'm nearly 6 foot, so when I walk a course I'm not as scared as everybody else because they're all down here at my shoulder. But I'm walking around thinking, whoa, this is pretty big, so I can't imagine how it must look to them. So maybe one day, maybe I'll get my mojo back and get the opportunity to ride a horse that is really gearing to go, because Piggles, he is more of a speed horse, so he's not that bothered about jumping big fences. He just likes to go fast. So you're not going to go fast over big fences, you go fast over smaller fences. So he's never really been particularly one that goes to a fence and goes, whoa, that's a good size. He'll just be like, how fast can I get over it? And how, I'll get through it if I have to, sort of thing. So, yeah.
That goes well.
Yeah, absolutely. He can be a bit of a bulldozer. Sometimes he's like, I just want to get around this in under 30 seconds. And if it's in the way, it's an obstacle rather than a fence. I'm like, wonderful. That's a great attitude to have. But yeah, the relationship with me and Piggles is very much, he just knows better. He is a professional. He was a professional, which is why I was lucky enough to have him. He's very much like, you don't know anything. I've been doing this my entire life. Just sit there, don't touch anything, and we'll be okay. And that's probably not how you should horse ride, but it worked for me for a while.
I get the feeling that he's like this simply as revenge for you calling him Piggles.
I didn't call him Piggles.
Because if you called me Piggles, I would have an issue with it.
I wanted to call him a beautiful, elegant name like Prince or something like that. I wanted a really, again, Barbie horse name. But it's bad luck to change a horse's name. So if they come with one, you're stuck with it. And trust me, with horses, you need all the luck you can get. really. Anybody who's horse ridden will know this. You're not going to put anything to chance. A lot of it is very much on luck. You become quite superstitious. I mean, I did have lucky pants when I was a show jumper, and I wouldn't jump without them. If I wasn't wearing them, I would fall off. I swear to God, my brain would make me throw myself off. I'd be like, oh, it's because I wasn't wearing my lucky pants, sort of thing. I was that bad. So yes, and he came as Pig Z, which again is a very strange name.
That's not
so we
better.
changed it to Piggles, which was a bit cuter.
Well, if you're going to change it from Pixie to Piggles, why not change it from Pixie to Prince? I think Prince is a lot better than...
I thought I could get away with it, but again, like, his owner did call him Piggles a little bit, so it was already in his mind. So he kind of had those two variations. Prince, surprisingly, was just so far away from that, and I just didn't want to run the risk. I just didn't. I wasn't willing to risk that.
What does he look like? What colour is he?
He's white, known as Grey in the horse world. He was a dapple grey when he came, so he had like black speckles all over him. He looked like one of the traditional Victorian rocking horses. He was beautiful. I say was, he still is, but his colouring was absolutely incredible. You know, if there was a horse pageant equivalent, he would be Miss World or Mr. World or whatever. He was absolutely stunning. He's all grey now. He's literally gone grey with age, but he has a couple of speckles on his shoulder, which is really sweet. Because he's an old man now. I've had him nearly 10 years. He's 20 next year, and he has been very active in his life. So, but I wouldn't say, touch wood, he's showing his age yet, and that he's very willing to carry on. If anything, I ask him each year, like, do you want to retire now? Are you done? Sort of thing. He's like, no, I want to still go. I'm like, okay, then. I mean, he's a very strong horse. So he's hard work to ride. So I'm like, great, okay, I've got another season of having my arms pulled out my sockets. Can't wait. Sort of thing.
So he actually replies to you when you ask him.
Well,
I was gonna say.
Right, again,
you've got a talking horse. We've missed the big thing.
With their dogs, it's the same with horses.
Yeah.
I very much. If I was to take him to say a show, or I don't know, load him onto a trailer or something like that, and he really didn't want to do it, then that would be my indication that he's done. And he is very, again, he's very communicative. If he doesn't want to do something, he won't make a fuss. He's just like, no. And it's not a case of having to encourage him to go. He just won't go, and that's that sort of thing. So if I take him to a show, one day in the future, and he says, no, I don't want to get in the ring, I'm not interested in any of this, and I'll know that's his time, and it's it's retirement time. But the problem is, at the moment, he's too keen for his age. He needs to calm down big time. I'll take him into a ring, or I'll unload him from the trailer at a show, and he will run and pick a stable and be like, that's the one I'm going for, and it might not be the one that's got his name on it. So I'm like, it's like skiing along, this massive half-ton horse running along like, yeah, this is the one I want. If anything, it's a bit dangerous sometimes. But so at the moment, as far as I'm aware, he still very much wants to compete.
Certainly.
At what cost?
Sounds like it. Kat Simpson has not so much asked, but she has said, tell us about the triangle dance, Steph.
Here we go. So, Kat Simpson is a soul sister of mine, a fellow Miss England 2009, and what I like to call one of the pageant icons. If anything, you need to get her on the show because she's brilliant and very experienced. She was a mentor of mine whilst I was Miss England. She is very much one of my best friends now. And on occasion, despite us living at opposite ends of the country, we will meet up. So we'll either be involved in organising a heat or like the running of a heat. So she'll do choreography. I might be performing. So one of the heats for Miss England. Or there might just be an event that we cross paths at. And we try and meet up as well, but we need to sort out our calendars for that. Anyway, there was three of us. There was me, my mum and Kat. And that viral triangle dance where people jump through and you take it in turns, and it's carnage if you don't get it right?
Yes.
I don't know if you might have said, it depends how big it was in Australia, but it was probably big for about a week in the UK. And when we were at one of these events, and we thought we'd give it a go. And the only way we could do it was by screaming each other's names at the top of our lungs to make sure we were jumping through at the same time. And it was absolutely hysterical. It was during rehearsals when everything is, usually quite calm, sedate and serious, because we're teaching the girls to do the walk and what they do, and then we just decided to have this complete mad half hour and just really lower the tone, but it was brilliant. And it's and I don't know if we set up a craze or not, because I did see it, and I have seen it at a couple of other events, but it was just a bit of a thing that we did, and one of those, I'd like to say you had to be there sort of thing. And I'm not the best at explaining funny situations, but yeah, we just gave this viral dance a go, and it was quite hysterical. Yeah.
Does a video exist of this magical moment?
I think someone's got it. Maybe Deputy Miss England 2018 Jen Atkin might have it. I think she filmed it off the top of my head, because I believe she put it on her Instagram story. But
I'm going to see if I can find this video.
Too much.
That's fine. I'm just looking for more questions. Well, Hannah Golding has said she doesn't have a theatre background, but she can be extra. Dan Collins has asked, how did it feel being the highest ever placed Miss England? And any plans on passing on your experience and tips? Let's just go with the first question. So how did it feel being the highest ever placed Miss England?
My brain refuses to kind of acknowledge it. I was just so happy to be there. My goal when first entering the Miss England competition was to eventually win Miss England. That would be lovely. Even I think it got to a point where I was like, right, top 5 would be lovely. That would be fantastic. But when I did eventually get to Miss World, all I wanted to do was stand on that stage and sing the Light the Passion, Share the Dream song that they sing at the end. Again, it's like a 90s power ballad. I love that kind of thing. All I wanted was to stand there with my England sash on and sing that. And that was it, really. That's all I wanted. So when I was called top 40, I was thinking, fantastic. Oh my God, never expected this. Brilliant. I'll go home now. My family's in the audience, my fella. Yeah. I want to go and see them. Thank you very much. I've had a lovely time. Sort of thing. And then I kept getting called through, and I was getting more and more shocked. And I mean, we did watch the video back eventually, and every time I'm called through, literally I'm going like this, and everybody else.
That's a lovely face.
It was like that though, and I mean, the cameramen, I think they did their best to maybe pan away from me at that moment, but I was just flabbergasted, and they probably didn't expect me to react like that, but I was so shocked. And so yeah, when I got called through to top 15, I was like, this is it now. This is getting silly. Thank you very much, but my God, what are you thinking down there? What are you doing? And I just couldn't believe it. So I was like, wonderful, that's it. I must be done now. Now I can go see my family. I'm going to get to do the dance with, this pop star that had come in from Russia, who was fabulous, and, have a dance with my roommate. I was all set for that. Like, I wasn't even comprehending that I might possibly get top 5. So when that happened, I don't know, I kind of felt like all my organs just kind of shifted, and I was like, whoa, here we go. And I think that's the only time in my life I've really felt the true effect of the fight or flight response. The amount of adrenaline that just went zoom through my body, I was like, geez. And everyone else just thinking, what can I say? I was thinking, this is going to be recorded for the rest of history. If I say something stupid, I'm never going to get a job again. And, so the pressure was additional to that. I mean, again, typical me, in this moment, I'm thinking, will I ever get employed again? Everyone else is like, I'm just happy to be here, all this. So by that point, I was really panicking and thinking, oh God, I don't know what on earth they're going to ask me. And they could ask me anything whatsoever. And I was like, well, actually, what is the one thing you can talk about at the drop of a hat? Well, I was like, horses or healthcare? So maybe not horses, that's a bit random. And it is of course a great passion of mine, obviously, by earlier on in this interview. So I was just thinking, no matter what they ask me, that is my passion, and that's what I can genuinely contribute to the world. So getting to talk about that, and then of course then they were, well, I want to say they were bonkers enough to place me third. And they were. And I said that to them. We went to this lovely after show party at the end, and we were able to see the judges after that. And I did go to them. I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, are you mad?
Did they give you an answer, though?
Sorry?
Did they give you any feedback to that question in terms of why? I mean, they must have a reason for it. So did they give you any feedback as in terms of why you placed top 5?
They just, we had a bit of a laugh, to be honest, because of course we're over there for 5 weeks, which is a long time. And the point of that is to basically see the cracks. People can put
Of
on a
course.
face, they can put on a demeanor. Absolutely. If anything, it's professionalism. But that will start to crack after 3-4 weeks in a foreign country, away from home, when you are pushed to your limits. Most nights we only got 2 hours sleep. And a lot of people struggle to function on that, or struggle to function at their highest, highest quality, let's say. And if anything, I went there, and for the first 2 weeks of Miss World, I was again trying to be this Julie Andrews perfect British hybrid, to the extent that I don't know, maybe I changed my accent a little bit. I would try to lighten my vowels, so I wasn't showing my Yorkshire heritage too much. And if anything, they kind of said, like, no offense, but you were insufferable those first 2 weeks. You weren't being yourself, and we knew you weren't. So we're so glad that eventually wore off, and you just were yourself. And I thought after 2 weeks, I was like, I can't keep this up. This is exhausting. They can have the proper Yorkshire lass now, and she can come through, and it was a lot easier that way. And I think,
of course,
I don't know, they've never kind of given me a definitive answer as to why that happened, but they just, in the nicest way, they just said that they really believed in me, and they believed in what I stood for, which was really nice. Because, of course, one of the biggest things as, I don't know, a title holder or a representative, coming from a historical place like the UK, which has such a, I don't know, very successful history in pageants, is there's a lot of pressure. And I know, of course, we don't kind of have the fanatica, as you can see sometimes in other countries, which I think is fantastic. Like, I'm like, oh, that must be so nice to have that support behind you. Of course, in the UK, if anything, you kind of feel like no one cares. They do, but they're just very quiet about it. And you just kind of think, there's all that historical pressure sitting behind you. So you really do have to present something special to get recognised, because so many people have done it before you who have been exceptional too. It's not like it's been a building up. You're literally riding on the reputation of a very big reputation as well. So that is a lot of pressure. I mean, I wouldn't say I particularly felt it, because again, I was just happy to be there. So yeah, again, like I said, my brain won't fully comprehend it. I don't really know how it happened. All I know is that I'm just really happy it did.
Of course. Well, I mean, that was a two-part question. So I mean, leading into the second part, Dan Collins has also asked, any plans on passing on your experience and tips onto the next generation of ladies? Because obviously they're going to want, because you were so successful, they're going to want to know how. So do you do any coaching? Do you do any mentoring or anything like that?
I do. So myself and Kat, who commented earlier, we do have like a little training. I don't know what's the word, like I don't know, a training academy or something. I wouldn't even call it an academy.
An academy.
I think that's stretching it a bit far, but that was basically purely for if any of the Miss England girls from our previous experience wanted hints and tips, they could come to us. But it has actually ended up extending beyond that, and for me personally, it's become more of applying it to the professional workplace. So I've helped coach people on how to go for an interview for a job and things like that. And it's not that I'm telling them what answers to say, it's giving them confidence. It's silly little things like I wouldn't even say how to dress, but knowing that they must wear tailored clothing. It's not even saying, right, you must wear a dress or you must wear a suit. Wear something that's comfy and tailored, because that is massively lost in our generation. I came from a very traditional old school. It used to be a grammar school and then became a state comprehensive, but they had so many old values that they kept, which was part of our education. We had to do like a work experience week, and we had to go and have interviews, and we had to learn interview technique, and we had to learn how to put together a CV. And as far as I'm aware, that doesn't actually happen. I thought it happened all around the country, but it doesn't. A lot of people my age don't have that basic knowledge, and only maybe come across it when they go for their first interview. So I've started coaching a lot in that sense. And I wouldn't say I've been doing life coaching, but I've been doing maybe a little bit of inspirational speaking, which has been nice. I don't know, maybe, about overcoming obstacles, about being slightly unconventional, and I don't know, taking the long way round to things, because if anything, that is maybe my staple. It's taken me a lot longer to get to where I am professionally now than it would, say, against the standard route, because I did struggle academically. I do still. It takes me a long time to get something in my head. So I've been doing a little bit of coaching on that front, just like helping people understand, certainly younger children, 16, 17, knowing that A-levels are not the be-all and end-all. I thought they were at the time, and I've realised now they really weren't. So again, it's kind of passing maybe this experience that I've had onto knowledge that can be applied to the everyday. But yeah, I do a little bit of pageant coaching here and there. By all means, it's not a busy business as such. It's kind of saying, look, if you want some kind of help, I'm here. But I have also recommended people onto other systems, other academies or training as such, if I knew that I was falling short somewhere. So I wouldn't exactly say that I'm brilliant at teaching catwalk, because I'm not a model, so I will often say, right, if you really wanted to focus on catwalk, go here, because there's no point saying to someone, right, come and learn catwalk with me, and then I can't actually teach them that well. And again, Kat also adopts this, like she will recommend more or less the same people as I do, because she basically manages the southern region and I'll manage the northern region, just because you can end up traveling so far for training. I mean, I did do training with Kirsty Hesselwood my year, because I knew Kirsty is very good for catwalk training, because she is a model, so I knew that I needed a little bit more on the kind of confidence front. So I went down there, but that was a big 8-hour round trip really, but there was kind of no one up my neck of the woods for me to go to. So yeah, so I do a little bit here and there, and I do try and pass on that knowledge where I can.
Brilliant. I have heard of these sort of long transit times. I mean, obviously coming from Australia, you can't drive from city to city, really. You need to take a flight. But I've heard a lot of the pageant girls in the UK, even going around for appearances, talking about having 8-hour drives. And I just think it shows, I love that, because it shows that you take it seriously, that you want to do well, that you'll drive 8 hours. I
think our theory is if we're not willing to do that, then maybe we wouldn't be willing to go to those lengths for an international. Like if we can't say drive an hour to our nearest appearance, of course, like you said, a lot of ladies go a lot further, then how could we possibly expect maybe say that candidate to fly literally to the other side of the world to compete in an international system? Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, I'm just going to go to the questions again. Maxine Poole has said Pixie is a great name for a horse, and yes, I am the old owner. Oh wow.
Hi Maxine. So I thought it was Daniela that called him Pigsy. Oh, look, you have a horse called Splash, Maxine, which is a really cute name for a horse. Whereas Pigsy,
I prefer Splash to Pigsy. Luckily, you have Luckily, you've got a good voice. You can be yelling Pigsy at the top of your lungs.
Really well as well, so she knows that it does suit him. He does like his food, and certainly in his golden years, he does have a little bit of a belly, just a little one.
Oh, after you've done everything that he's done, I think one can forgive him for having a bit of a big belly,
isn't he? Like in horse years, he's like 80. Wow. He's doing really well.
I'd say. Okay. Melanie has also said, we love Piggles. He gets lots of cuddles when he visits our yard for his pedicure. Horses get pedicures?
Yeah, the farrier comes to do his shoes. So, right, another thing you should know about me is Piggles is actually more famous than I am. And if anything, I kind of piggyback, literally, pardon the pun, on his... I'm so funny.
I Piggles back.
I reap off that fame. Of course, as I've said before, he was a very successful horse, very talented. And, of course, he helped get me places that I wouldn't have been able to go. So I was part of... something on this horsey channel called Horse and Country, called the Blue Chip All-Star Academy, and he was amazing on that. If anything, he actually threw me off on that program, which was the one of 2 times I've actually fallen off him in 8 years. So thanks to him for that, but it did get me fame. So he knew exactly what he was doing. But yeah, people know him in the horsey world more than they know me. So they'll say, oh, it's Piggles, it's Mr. Piggles, or it's Diamond Cavalier Royale, which is his full name. And I'll be like, yeah, hi, I'm here too. They're like, yeah, don't care about you, care about him. So he's a big guy in the horsey world. So yeah, I don't know, maybe he started off the taste for fame, I'm not sure, but I'm grateful nonetheless.
Reminds me when I meet people who have a little dog. I was out and about and they had this little tiny dog, and the dog had an Instagram account. Well, I say that. Obviously the owner had started an Instagram account for the dog. And the dog had like tens of thousands of followers. The dog was legitimately Insta famous. Yeah. And it was just kind of sad that the dog had more followers than I did.
People report me make Pickles an Instagram account, and
I was
I'm
going to
doing
say,
a great disservice to him not doing that, but it's because I am so inconsistent on social media, and I would probably, I need someone to do it for him, because like I said, it would be such an injustice. He deserves so much more than what I could provide in a number of ways. Like, he should have a professional rider on his back, but he's been stuck with me, but I can give him all the kisses in the world, so he can have that instead.
if you ever start that Instagram account, let me know.
Oh. What's called Pickles the Pony? I don't know. They have really cute names, don't they?
Pickles the Pony. I'm just like, for this majestic horse.
I'm thinking of something catchy here.
Okay, so we'll take one more question and then we'll go to the final 10 questions and wrap up, Stephanie. So Colin has asked, and we talked a little bit about the singing, but he said, tell us about your singing, as my company loved doing your sound for you at many events.
Oh, Colin has been responsible for many of my great performances, because if I'm having a bad vocal day, which is more often than not, I'll go up to him and say, please, can you whack on the reverb, like make it sound like I'm in a church. And
Right.
a lot of people don't realize that sound techs and lighting techs, anybody in the kind of tech side of performance can make you be amazing or really bad. Like, you can be as talented as you like, but they can really sabotage if they want to. And Colin and his company have been absolutely fantastic for my vocals. So I actually had I was really ill a couple of weeks ago for a friend's event, and he was doing the sound there, and I was in such a state, and I was like, please, can you just whack on the reverb for me? And it did sound really good to say my voice was in the worst condition it's been in for years. So with regards to singing, Colin has been there. I met him through Miss England. He was the sound guy for Miss England for many years.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what more to tell you about the singing, really. I mean, it's I've done bits and bobs here and there. I mean, I was lucky enough to go on The Voice last year. Was it? Oh God, was it this year? I can't. Right, I think. Right, sorry.
It's 2019.
I have a really bad concept of time as well. I feel every day, man, so it feels like it was years ago. But I wasn't successful because, again, I had one of my dreadful vocal days. So, and it was a trash performance. I do tell people this. All I went on The Voice for, right, very similar to Miss World. I didn't go on to win. I just wanted a really nice clip for my show reel. I didn't get it because my voice was crap. I was so annoyed. I was like, oh, I was only here for the show reel. They're like, oh yeah, most people are here to win. I was like, nah. I knew that wasn't going to happen, so I just wanted the show reel clip, and you can't even do that for me.
That's a bit of a different way to go into The Voice. It's like, I'm not here to win. I want a video. I want a nice video.
I'm a realist, if that's a word. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a pessimist. I'm just very realistic.
Well, I think it's worked well for you so far. Stephanie, just before we go to the final 10 questions, I like to give everyone a chance to just say thanks or shout out to people who've supported them, not just through their pageantry journey, but also through life. So is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, God. We need longer. I don't want to be a cliche and say they know who they are, and I also don't want to single anybody out, but I try and let my support network know that they have done so much for me, more than they will ever know. There are people that sometimes I'll be up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'll message them and say, oh, I'm having a bit of a do, and they'll be there at the drop of a hat. They know exactly who they are when I say that. And these are people who have endorsed all of my mad ideas. So my parents, of course, have done that for me. My fella has, my significant other. He's been there as well. Sometimes I'll have some really mad moments and he will be there like, yep, he just says yes to everything. Within reason. If I come up with something really crazy, he'll be like, I think you need to sit this out, or I think you need to think about this one. So my support network are the most supportive people in the world, and they don't judge me for anything. They always want the best for me. And honestly, thank you isn't enough. It's not enough to say that for them, because even now they still support me in, some low days and the high days. They've been with me throughout it all, and they know exactly who they are. I only wish that I could let them know how grateful I am for them more regularly, and to equate what they have done for me.
Okay, so the final 10 questions. Do you know what the final 10 questions are?
I've seen a couple of them, and I've had to maybe try and think about them, because I'm not great at quick fire, and I'll end up coming with something really random that isn't probably something I'd say, but I don't know, might give you some good entertainment.
they're not supposed to be rapid fire in terms of like some people feel like they have to answer like in 5 seconds. I mean, like you're allowed to take your time.
I thought they were rapid fire.
No, I don't know why everyone in the. I know when I was interviewing Danielle Latimer, she was almost panicking that she needed to give answers really quickly, and I was like, no, you can take your time. I mean, there are 10 questions, and we don't want to be here for 10 hours, but you are allowed to actually think about your response first. So it's fine.
Well, I was at a dance lesson with my partner today, and I was thinking, right, if you ask me these, I've got to have an idea, and I was thinking, I bet you I blank anyway. So I'm glad it's not rapid fire because I can't think on my feet.
Well, take your time. Okay, so number 1, what is your favourite word?
Right, he's going to laugh at me now because I said this as I was waiting for my train. Oh, God. Oh, yes. Okay, so it's a Danish word. I probably don't pronounce it right, but it's either hygge or hygge, and it's
the one that means happiness.
Yeah, well, not happiness. There is kind of no English equivalent for it. I think the closest thing is coziness. And it's, if anything, it's a bit like supercalifragilistic X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to shame myself by not being able to say it properly. But it's a word that kind of fills in where you wouldn't have a description. So the feeling of coziness, the feeling of getting in out of the rain when it's been really cold and into the warmth and getting your coat off and getting dry. And then also like that sense of togetherness when you're with everybody that you love. Again, well, of course, my world girls, as they call them, who's Norway, Denmark, Iceland, and Ireland, when we're all together and we're just sat around a television watching Netflix on the 3 occasions a year that we do get to see each other, you get that lovely sense that you're in the presence of people that just understand you. And, these are your soul people on this planet. That word equates to that. And I remember we were watching a film, we were actually watching Thor together because I was like, yeah, I've got to watch this film because it has Nordic roots. And I just the 3 Scandinavian girls, and I was like, "Is this hygge? Is this hygge?" And they're like, "Yes, this is hygge." And so I finally understand the concept. So yeah, that's my favorite word.
What is your least favorite word?
Leech. And again, these are the 2 questions I was revising.
Revising.
Because they're not something you think about on the daily. But yeah, leech, I hate that word. It sounds awful. It's not a very pleasant being. And of course, when it's used as like when it's used as a what's the word? Is it a verb? A doing word? Well, I don't do English, I do science. So,
yes.
But it means to extract something, and it's not nice. And when you use that word, to refer to someone or something, it means that like they're like kind of taking something that they shouldn't be. So yeah, I don't like the word leech.
Right.
No.
Okay. Do you have leeches where you're at, as in the creature that looks like half a slug sort of thing?
I don't think so. I don't know. If you go into one of the weird marshy areas, well, in the Peak District, you don't know what you're going to come across. We do have ticks a lot if you go walking, so we do warn people, like the tourists who do come, and if someone lets their dog go for a run on the moors, it will come back with loads of ticks on it, and you've got to be super careful. One of my friends from school actually did end up contracting Lyme's disease from not getting rid of a tick properly. So it does happen. It's it is a regular occurrence in the Peak District. So yeah, we don't have leeches, I know, well, as far as I'm aware of, but I know that we do have ticks. So I don't know, maybe they're an equivalent. Not sure.
Question 3. In life, what gets you excited? What turns you on?
Oh, so many things. Music. As kind of like a ground rule. If I listen to a piece of music, usually it'll be an instrumental score of some sort. So I love the works of Alan Menken, John Powell, Hans Zimmer, the classic guys. If they've done a particularly epic score and I want to get riled up something, I'll listen to that. I really like the Hunger Games soundtrack as well when that came out. So yeah, music is a big influencer in that aspect. As I was saying earlier, I like to read articles and know what's coming out in the world of research. So if something exciting comes up, which is usually a weekly occurrence, that'll get me absolutely, and I'll have one of those moments where I just kind of think, oh, this is what all the hell through GCSEs and A-levels was for. This is why I'm here. And that happens a lot, which is really nice. So yeah, that really gets me excited. Yeah, big time. A lot of things excite me, which is why I have so many ridiculous.
You mentioned Hans Zimmer. Have you actually ever been to, because I know he's coming back to Australia because he's been here once before and they actually do a Hans Zimmer live concert. Have you ever been to something like that?
No, but I would love to.
It's
So,
amazing. I really want to go as well. It's
oh
just all
God, I
his
would love to
music.
see any of them live. Like, but that music that I have seen someone did like a tribute to him, and they ran through it. So I love the soundtrack he did for Spirit, that the film about the horse. Needless to say, I was obsessed with that
Of
film as a
course.
child. He just seems to be able to capture whatever it is. He's so versatile in what he
Yeah.
can do, and I
Yeah.
just love his scores. I've never been able to comprehend how a single person can create a score that covers 80 instruments with such
Yeah.
intricacy that makes it come together and sound. Oh my God, I can't. My brain will not physically register it. Yeah, I get to a limit and my brain just shuts off and goes, nope, can't understand it. You just have to accept it, sort of thing. Yeah.
There's actually, I don't know if you know about them, but there are these online masterclasses that you can take from various celebrities. For example, you can take a singing lesson from Christina Aguilera, and it's a selection of video lessons. One of the lessons in there is how to compose by Hans Zimmer, and I just watched the preview of it, and he was going through how he came up with the soundtrack to The Dark Knight, and the way he described it, he started with such a simple theme, and he was just talking about this long horn, just one note, the horn, and then he composed everything around that. It was absolutely fascinating. So if you are a fan of his, I would look at it. I think it's Hans Zimmer Masterclass. You'll find it.
Yeah.
But
I've seen the one that Natalie Portman has been advertising, and Helen Mirren, I believe, has advertised.
Yes, Helen Mirren's done one as well.
I need to get on those because they look fantastic. Oh, I love Helen Mirren. And to be fair, the masterclass that Natalie Portman, it's very interactive. Like, she seems to walk you through how she'd do a scene. Yeah, and again,
Exactly.
again, another thing I'd love to do is act. But yeah, I'd love to see these masterclasses. They look so interesting, like insight into those industries.
Absolutely. Okay, question 5. What sound or noise do you love?
Piggles neighing.
Can you do an impression for us? What does he sound like?
Well, I don't know. The human phonetic equivalent, we call it fuffering. So it's not like the full-scale neigh that you hear, but it kind of makes this really lovely noise, and it means it's a really gentle noise, and it's like a genuine expression of love, and that they're really happy to see you. So mares will do it to newborn foals to kind of reassure them. If a horse does it to you, it means that they're really pleased to see you and that they love you. So Piggles does it quite a lot because he's a big sap, and so he'll do it if you're going into the feed shed hoping you'll get a cat. Like, he does know that if he does it, he'll probably get a carrot, and us just fawning over him going, oh, you're so lovely, thank you for neighing. So he does it probably more than he should. He's really exploiting us with it. He's very clever.
Emotional manipulation.
Oh yeah, trust me, horses can do that. They're very good
Fuffering.
at it.
I've learned a new word today.
The worse it is.
Fuffering. Okay, so question 6. What sound or noise do you hate?
I don't know, but you know that particular scream a child makes when they fall over and hurt themselves? Like, it is just this really high-pitched squeal. I don't know if it's because I'm female, but that really stirs something in me. It like stirs a feeling of panic and worry, all like encompassed into one, that I feel like I have to go over and help that kid. And it's a completely, I don't know, prehistoric instinct of mine. I mean, don't get me wrong, children are not on the horizon for me at the moment. You know, they're a long, long way in the future, but it's still within me. I think I've got to go and help that kid. And it is a noise. It literally just rattles my bones. I can't stand the sound. I just think, God, that wherever that child is, it's in so much pain. It's just that. I think parents will know that noise and think, oh God, that's a warning sign. But I just think, oh my God, I can't stand it. Yeah, and I really panic.
Absolutely. Okay, so question 7. What superpower, if you could pick any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
It's a funny one. I don't know. Maybe having, I don't know, some way of having every, I don't know, human or being or whatever on this planet having, I don't know, an equal sense of empathy, which sounds like a really weird concept and a lot to ask. But I think if there was just some kind of if everybody was just so much more accepting and so much more, I don't know, had that much more perspective that everybody is leading a completely different, complicated life with all of its dramas and all of its various complications in it, then I just think so many, I don't know, here we go with the world peace thing, but so many of the world's problems would be resolved overnight. There wouldn't be war. People wouldn't have segregation between religion, race, background, or any of that. If people just had an equal sense of empathy, there would just that immediate understanding, I feel, could solve so many of our issues overnight and just, you know, make us able to approach things with a much kind of more level head. And I don't know, it would get rid of things like greed and, you know, corruption, things like that as well. It's a really weird superpower to have, but I don't know. There was that Twilight series a good couple of years ago now, and I believe one of the characters in it, I don't know if it was the main lady, she had a power of some sort that she was able to spread. Like she was able to shield people or something like that. I can't really remember it. Oh no, this is only popping into my head because it came up my feed. Like, do you remember how obsessed everyone was with Twilight 10 years ago? I was like, yeah, God, everyone was. That was mad, and it was forgotten overnight. But yeah, she had one of these powers where she could shield everybody she loved from harm. I was thinking, if I had that, but like an empathetic equivalent, where I was able to know,
right?
If that had to be the power, that it would just everyone would feel that. And, you know, that's not me being, I don't know, politically correct or anything. I just kind of, it's one of those shower thoughts where you think, actually, what would solve the majority of the world's problems if we're going to think about that?
Well, that's a much deeper and more thoughtful answer than what I gave. When I was asked that, I just said I wanted to be Iron Man. So your answer is much more noble than mine.
Adore him. Oh my God, he's brilliant, like fantastic. So, well, we're going down the Marvel route, Iron Man for sure. Imagine having that brain and being able to come up with the stuff that he does.
Exactly.
Yes, please.
Yeah, you see. So that was my answer. Your answer is much deeper and much for the betterment, more for the betterment of mankind than my answer. Question 8. What job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Well, I've answered that kind of on one of your posts already. I'd love to follow through officially with dress designing. So I will paint and draw dresses. I do it a lot to kind of maybe brainstorm a gown I'd like to wear in the future for an event, or, you know, for these potential other systems I might be, I don't know, endorsing as such. But I would love to go all the way through with that. I've always wanted to have like a clothing collection of tweed.
Well, yeah.
Because I'm in the country and I love tweed, and it's a really lovely fabric to work with. You can just do so much with it. I did do textiles at school, and I kind of wish I'd gone a little further with that. So that would be nice. But then also acting. I've had a little stint at acting, and this is straight acting, not musical theatre. So working with cameras, working with a film crew, and I really enjoyed it and thought, was singing the right thing for me? You know, maybe I should have gone into this because. But I don't know. I've always had that thing that if you're over 5'4" in any kind of performing world, you're too tall, sort of thing. And I'm nearly 6 foot, so I'm not even on the borderline. So maybe that got into my head. But yeah, the very small, tiny little, I don't know, satirical elements of acting I've been able to do, I would really enjoyed. So I'd love to do that again. That would be great.
I like how you said you want to design in tweed, because that basically is a thing that doesn't exist here in Australia, really.
No, why on earth would you need that?
I mean, I know what it is, but we don't really have tweed fashion here. I'm not sure it would take off here.
It is this mythical substance in Australia that all those people in the colder regions wear to keep warm and stylish.
Well, we love the fact that when it becomes like 20 degrees for you guys, you call it a heat wave and you all go in a mad rush to the beach. That's amazing.
15 degrees in the Peak District, because we literally are 5 degrees colder than New York City. So it gets 15 degrees, everyone's walking around with tank tops on, like we're mucking out with tank tops on, going down the field, like, yeah, we'll get a tan from this, yeah. And we do. I swear to God, we're closer to the sun up here because we're so high up. So we do get tans.
You get a tan or you just burn? Because I've seen some people's stories. Oh, you tan. You're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, my family tans. We've got really weird skin. I think it is this very obvious Scandinavian inheritance. Like, if I didn't mention that in this interview, then I'd be a fraud, obviously. But yeah, we do tan. We do tan very well. My hair goes very light and my skin does go quite dark. So I do look quite comical.
Wow, okay.
I don't mind it at all. If it happens, it happened. I'm not a sun seeker by any means, of course. My job kind of that'd be very hypocritical of me to do that, certainly in the field that I'm in. But yeah, I'm very sensible in the sun, and if I can get a little bit of colour, a little bit of healthy glow, I will, for sure.
What job or occupation other than your own would you definitely not like to attempt?
This is a recent one that I've realised, a paediatrician, probably linked to my earlier answer. I'd struggle greatly with children suffering. I have come across a couple of paediatric cases in my time, and in a work setting I was okay, but I think if I was to do that on the regular, we like to watch a program over here called 24 Hours in A&E, which is an A&E unit in the UK. And if any of the children cases come in, I can't keep it together. Maybe that's because I'm at home and I'm vulnerable and I haven't got my tunic on and my work head on, and scientist Steph isn't there. It's normal Steph at home. But yeah, when I have to deal with, if I do have to deal with pediatric cases, I will go home, I will cry, which is ironic because, of course, my charity was working with children who were going through a hard time, whether they were ill, whether they were suffering. And I would always get back in the car and be crying my eyes out on the way home, especially if it was children who maybe didn't have a long time left on this planet. That would just destroy me. Yeah, it would be horrendous. So I don't really know why I put myself through it, to be honest. A lot of people, my dad used to say, I used to get back from the bookings that I did have, and he'd be like, why do you do this to yourself? You're in such a state, you're exhausted. And I'm like, I don't know, because I know that I can help in some way. But yeah. Doing that time, any kind of pediatric work, I couldn't do it. And I'm very, very admirable. I'm in a lot of admiration for people who are able to do that big time.
Absolutely. Okay, final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You did everything right, or you were enough. I don't know, but that's a little thing that I do try and tell a lot of people. A lot, there's a huge thing in our culture that we're not enough, and that we could always be more, or we could always give more, or that what we have isn't enough. We must always strive for more. So I don't know, maybe that higher being bestowing that upon me, that I was enough and I did everything to the best of my ability. Maybe.
Perfect. Stephanie, just before we wrap up, on Instagram we didn't have questions as much. A couple of people, so Ellie Corcoran wrote in, not a question, but you are so lovely and I'm so happy I got to meet you, with a love heart.
You were lovely, Ellie, as well. I've already said that too. You were fabulous.
And basically the same comment from Natasha Uyal. She's written, not a question, but in capitals, I love you, Stephanie. Like
I love you too.
Giant, don't know if you can see that, but it's in giant capitals. I love you, Stephanie. Then there's one question. Who is your role model?
Of course, everyone says their mum, and of course my mum is hugely influential on everything I do. But I don't know, maybe talking about my relationship with my mum is very personal. Of course, everybody who knows us very well know that we're exceedingly close, and we are essentially sisters rather than mother and daughter. And that dynamic very much swaps between us. Like sometimes I'll be mum and she'll be daughter. You know, if one of us has a mad half hour, it's the other one's responsibility to be like, right, simmer down. And it happens a lot. But yeah, role model wise, if we're to maybe look at someone who is, I don't know, a public figurehead, it seems cliche, but Audrey Hepburn, but not because of her being a fashion icon or anything. It was the fact that she seemed to me to use that platform to the best of her ability, the amazing things that she did. As a result of the exposure she was able to get. I just believe that she used that platform amazingly well, and she exceeded all expectations. And again, she just seemed to show that balance. She had what could be perceived as a very self-indulgent lifestyle, a very easy lifestyle. She just had to turn up. She had to, of course, work very hard as an actress, but it was an easier lifestyle than, say, I don't know, physical labor, if you want to argue it that way. But then as a result of that amazing work, she also had a balance that she did go and do incredible things and physically did the incredible things. She didn't just kind of talk about them, and didn't follow through with it. She went all the way. And I think that was exceedingly inspiring for a woman in her position, because she didn't have to do that, and she did.
Yeah, especially back then. I mean, now it's more. I wouldn't say it's a normal thing, but you hear it more regularly, whereas back then I think it was pioneering.
Yeah, if anything, it's expected of people of influence nowadays. Absolutely, like thinking, right, you're in this position, you should do something with that. Whereas she was the figurehead, she was the head of that revolution. It was amazing.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, we're going to leave it there. I'm going to say thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you for listening to me, because as you've figured out now, I can't stop once I start. Thank you for having me.
I don't know if you want to hear this as confirmation, but I'm looking at the timer below and I can tell you that you are officially the longest interview I've ever had.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not surprised.
But I will also say there are still a lot of people watching, so you've obviously been entertaining. Otherwise, they would have all just disappeared. I can tell you that much, because you watch the numbers go down, 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 down. You've still got a core group of people watching. So almost
You're
90.
Lovely. Thank you, everyone.
Almost 90 minutes later. So well done.
Oh God! Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me, Adrian. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Stephanie, I'll keep you on the line for just a little bit longer whilst I hang up with the audience. But thank you guys so much for watching. And oh no, El Natasha Uyao, who would just speak of the devil, she just joined now. I have to go, El, because we've been on for an hour and a half, so you can watch the replay. But I did pass on your message from Instagram to Stephanie that you love her in capitals. So Stephanie, once again, thank you so much for your time, and to the audience, thank you so much for watching, and we'll speak to you again very soon. What's up, guys? It's Adrian again. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to head over to pageantlaunch.com, join our launch team for our review site. It's super important to all of us to make sure that the industry is safe, transparent, and fair. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, write in your email address, and we'll speak to you next time.